Hi there, my name is Sheila Beck, and the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. You know, I always try and point to where the little bell thing is, and I always miss it. I'm like, where did I go? I go like the wrong direction. There's it. Yeah, not there. I don't know what that is. That probably takes you somewhere in your browser you don't want to go. Anyway, hello everybody. Welcome to the video vault. The video vault. Tonight we are looking at the some may call somber, some may call joyous. Some may call boring, some may call riveting, some may call cringy, some may call profound, and some may call them all. And that some person may be me. Yes, we're dealing with Fred Ward's 1998 movie, What Dreams May Come. It's a cheery tale of child death and death once again. There's a lot of death in it. Just don't get emotionally attached to any character. That's all I'm recommending. I'm assuming you've seen it already. Fine. So on this voyage of discovery of the afterlife, it's always good when one is heading into Hades, right? When one is heading into Hades in their longboat or whatever. What was it? The Klingons had this. Did they have Klingons had a bird of prey or something that took you? No, it was a barge. Barge of the dead, right? It had the barge that took you in this fiery river. So it's always good to have some souls with you when you go on this the voyage to the underworld. And sometimes it's not good to be alone. It's best to have a zone with you, have an entire zone, right? If you can get a zone, that's great. And I found one of the greatest zones that I could possibly share this movie with. It is, of course, the Tardis zone. Noel, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am spiffy. I am full of glee and gusto.
Good man. It's nice to see you so chirpy as usual.
Well, one does one best. What can I say? By the way, before I forget, don't forget this competition to win Judge Dredd The Pit. I just put a review of it out. Cool Judge Dredd graphic novel. The link to review is in the video notes. I'm giving it away on Noel's channel. On Sunday, the 30th, when we're watching Fear Her, the 2006 David Tennant episode. So if you want to win that, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe, and you can hit like as well. We're not partial. Hit like, you hit subscribe. We'll let you even hit share. We don't care. We are definitely an audio button. We're going into. You please go ahead and do all of that stuff. As you know, which I'm sure. I wonder if you ever went to an orgy. Would you hear somebody say that? Please go ahead.
You probably hear someone say, "Hit that bell." Ding.
Yeah, hit that bell. It's good when you're on YouTube, bad when it's an orgy. Okay, you don't want that to happen. Right. With that said, with that Phil talked about, I feel like we need a being to share this movie experience with, but unfortunately, he's got a bit of a problem. It is, of course, the one, the only problem being. How are you, sir?
I'm very well. I breathe. I live.
You breathe. Now you made me want to get AI again. I love. Have you ever seen AI?
Yes.
So there's this. So I guess we're not. There's a great. I love Jude Law's last line in it, where he's like being sucked up by this magnet, and he says, "I am," because I think, therefore I am. But he said it. He delivers it much better than me. It's more matter of fact. And then as it's being sucked up, he says, "Well, I was," which I really liked. Into AI again.
There are some good moments.
This movie it does deal quite heavily with death in the afterlife. And I do think it conforms to a lot of general conceptions of the afterlife. But it's always good. It's always good to have a fellow clergyman ride along. So I don't want to overbalance this with Jewishness. So I figure you have to find a father. Which father could be better than Father Christopher Miller? Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I was doing good until I heard those two words, fear her.
Sorry?
I was doing good until I heard those two words, fear her.
Fear
her? Are you a sadist?
I love Father's T-shirt. Meh.
Favor when we bring on the other
guests. Is that canon now?
Yes. Don't forget to bless the panel. Don't forget to bless
you got to have the lows that have the highs. That's what I say. Speaking of high, there are a few people that want call Your Highness. There are a few people that one can call Your Highness, but it's always good to share a bit of movie talk with someone who you can call Your Highness. This is a royalty called, he's localized royalty. He's Birmingham's King of the Geeks, Dan Hadley, the Facebook Type 40 podcast, and probably 20 other Walk Drive. What else do you do?
Jess, we'll have to get you a crown. You see this intro? We'll have to get you a crown, Dan. We'll have to buy you.
Slow it down.
From Amazon. Yes, I'm sending you a crown.
One of those big red capes that Freddie Mercury used to wear.
One of those paper gold Burger King crowns or something.
I'd go for that. I'd be happy with that. Although I am a vegetarian. Do they do a veggie dish?
Get some jelly babies to put on.
They do a meat-free alternative in Burger King now. It's called,
I can wear the hat then. I can wear the crown.
Vegetarian, right?
Oh, by the way, I thought it was going to be horrible. It's actually nice, believe it or not. It's actually nice.
Yeah, I know. It's like, do you want a steak? Yeah, it's made out of orange pill. Really?
Seriously, it's actually a horrible shit. It's called a meat-free Whopper or something like that. She got me, and I said I'll try it compared because I'm a huge Whopper fan, so I wanted to see no difference in the taste. So. They got that part right. So once they get that part right for me, I'll eat it. Because once it tastes like a Whopper, they've done their job. So they've done their job. It's plant-based.
Yeah. Listen, look, I mean, it's great for Jews because you can't have meat and milk together, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a steak, you can't have a cup of tea or coffee, right?
Right.
So now, no problem. They make coffee out of they make milk out of nuts, and it tastes like milk. I don't understand it. When I was a kid, you had moo cow milk. That was it.
Moo cow milk. I am learning so much on the Video Vault every week. I learn more about Jewishness than I ever have my entire life. Sincerely, I do. I'm really rather ignorant. If it's not TV and movies, I don't know jack about it.
Yeah, you'll be converted by the end of next month.
Fine. The movie we are talking about tonight is Fred Ward's What Dreams May Come. That's always interesting for me when I watch these movies because I haven't watched them for a while. Yeah, these are just movies that I have in the back of my head today. I love that movie, right? And at the time I watched it, I love that movie, and I do like this movie a lot. The weird thing about this movie is it starts off really bad. It starts off cringy.
Oh God!
I'm getting through it because I know I like Robin Williams, and I know what's going to come. I'm just, and as the movie unfolds over that the first 5 minutes are just cringe. Okay, then you go then from 5 to 15 minutes in. The cringe is much better, okay? It's a little bit saccharine, but it's okay. And we're getting into it, it's setting up interesting things. And then suddenly when you get to when you get to 25 minutes in, then the movie starts, right? At that point, start watching the movie. If you rewatch it, that's the point to start watching the movie. Then it gets into it. But still, it's still a little bit not great until halfway through. And when it gets that halfway through point, it's for me anyway. For me, it was worth the not the word effort, the investment. I would say it's worth the investment to get there. And then the ending again, just hit yourself in the head with a plank of wood.
I'm just looking at this picture that you've thrown up there, Rabbi. It looks like he staged some sort of dirty protest.
But, it's a fascinating, wonderfully beautiful movie. I mean, it's just it's breathtakingly beautiful and inventive.
Yeah, it's beautifully shot. Visually, it's fantastic.
Some dodgy CGI though. I mean, it's of its time. It's of its time.
You're just hypercritical.
It's the green screen sort of, Nah.
Did you not like the whole part with the sky? It reminded me a bit like Van Gogh's painting, the way that it was swirling around.
We should do Vanilla Sky at some point. That's
great. No.
It's interesting, isn't it, guys?
You want me to kill myself?
It's interesting to see after Jurassic Park. I think Jurassic Park was this big watermark where for the next 4-5 years it was a case of yes, we can do anything. They really, all the studios really go for it.
That's right. Fine. So let me take you through chronologically, time-wise. chronological.
I love it.
Through this movie, it starts off. Robin Williams is on a boat with a wig, and then he bumps into the perfect woman who has to hate him.
Bad one.
I mean, you don't realize how much she hates him until the time goes on, until you see them act together. But they pretend to like each other for some strange reason. They're like, oh, it's if you've seen Doctor Who, the episode with Matt Smith episode with the big leaf, Oh My Stars, and they're on the Flash Gordon scooter with a big song, the Rings of Akatan. There you go. Poor. It's like they have a romance in that. A little less forced. I mean, that's how forced this film, right? Right. So, but there's supposedly it's the perfect, soul match, and they marry and they giggle and they have a couple of kids and everything's wonderful. And then the kids go off to school and they die horribly. But on the upside, I do notice that Robin Williams and his wife are very rich. Are very, very rich indeed. They got
it's a very stately address they've got, isn't it?
But yeah, I mean, it's so anyway. So they you have to have the funeral of the kids. It's a bit of a downer at that point. The kids have some very nice, like the shiny coffins, but a bit of a downer. And then so it goes to 4 years later, and Robin Williams, you find out, is a doctor. And so he's a bit Patch Adamy at this point, but not too bad, right? He's a little bit Patch Adamy. Patch Adams, if you watch it, it will induce vomiting. If you have taken a substance that you shouldn't, and you need to vomit, and you don't have Ipecac, just put that Patch Adams on. Boom! You won't be able to stop. But it's a bit Patch. It's not totally Patch. So he's this lovely, charming doctor with a big bunny rabbit, and then his wife phones up and is having a nervous breakdown about art for some reason. And Robin Williams is a wonderful husband, talks her through it, and is a wonderful doctor, and is nice to a kid, and drives home. And then so then he gets to a car crash happens. That I think was done excellently. This whole sequence, I think, really was very captivating. He gets out and rushes to see who can help because he's so freaking wonderful. Right? I mean, listen, if he was a girl, he would be a Mary Sue. I mean, that's just where we are. And then as he's getting out to help, a car comes crashing over, bam, kills him, right? And he's dead. And 20 minutes in, you're like, why? Where's Robin Williams? I just paid $10 to see this movie. Don't worry, you're catching more. Getting 20 minutes. Exactly.
This is like Ghost on Asset or something.
What?
It's like Ghost. You know that movie with Patrick Swayze, is it?
Yeah.
But wait, this is on steroids though, or Asset.
No, that happens in the next. So basically, he's dead, right? And he's still walking around his life, and he's got this blurry friend who's seeing him, who as he materializes, seems to be a naked black man, right? For some reason, likes to do lots of twirls. Don't really understand it, but okay. Seems a bit gay to me. If that's what I say, where's your knickers, mate? Okay, this is the bit I don't know. Okay, I know that. Listen, I just died, and there's a fuzzy naked black man dancing around me. I expected a tunnel of light. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, so he becomes accustomed to his surroundings. He's dead. He's essentially a ghost. He sees this funeral. The more he goes on, the more the fuzzy black man.
But he can't let go, can he? He can't let go, and he's trying to tell his wife that he's still there, and he's kind of controlling her hand to write, "I still exist. I'm still here."
Yeah, right.
And she breaks down. He realizes it's not good for her.
Yeah, it's good and no good at all. But yeah, all through this time, you have the fuzzy black man is turning into Cuba Gooding Jr., right? Who I haven't seen for like 15 years. I remember him being big at this movie, but I haven't seen him for God knows how long. And so then a problem being said, he's he can't let go of his wife. And so eventually, though, he sees it's hurting her, so he strolls off, and he wakes up inside the painting. Oh, here's a picture of him. Yeah, Robin Williams as it starts. Robin Williams with a wig, with a very unconvincing
awful wig. No.
I mean, it's just like, really, it's such a big deal. It's kind of painful.
Yeah, that's very bad.
I mean, really.
Well, I mean,
that's better.
He wears a bad wig in this, and she wears a bad wig in this later on as well.
Yeah,
yes, they do. They do have.
They probably ran out of budget. That's the problem. They ran out of budget because he spent so much money on CGI. They had no money for the.
Well, I think they ran out of money during the middle of the CGI too, because there's some really bad green screening.
I think for the time.
Well, there's a bit where he works out that where he works out. There's a scene where he works out who Cuban Gooding Jr.'s character is, and it's so badly done, that bit. It's all done in sort of slow mo.
There's a lot of for me. The thing that overused was slow mo, bad slow mo. There's lots of that going on, and I don't know why. But again, just let me get to the point of this bit of the movie we're at. Basically, he wakes up and he's within this painting. He's always loved art. They mentioned the first 20 minutes how much he loves art. His wife's a painter and a painting restorer, and he wakes up inside the painting, and everything that is made out of paint is just like most mind-blowing thing. And they do spend quite a lot of time doing this, which I like all this stuff. For me, it really, really works. What does the panel think?
Well, I think the opening of the film, you see a little girl drawing a streak of piss coming out of this statue, and I think that's a metaphor for pretty much most of the film.
Not a fan.
Not a fan. Not a fan at all. I think that it's so completely ridiculous and unbelievable. I mean, like, listen, the afterlife concept, I can get on board with that. You know, I've had a near-death experience. I have seen some weird stuff in my time, and I can jump on board with most of that. And I think on the whole, the ideas are very nice, very theatrical and pleasant to look at. But I think it's a very manipulative film. I think it's it's so unbelievable in the terms of their relationships as well.
Doesn't every movie try and control the emotions of the viewer? That's
but this is very prominent. It takes me out of it. It's very prominent.
Actually, I agree with you at the beginning. It feels very cringe, but by the time I'm up to this part, maybe I'm just enjoying the visuals and but certainly by the time I'm up to the middle. But what I think when I'm up to here, I'm buying into it and I'm enjoying it. The
only thing I really sort of enjoyed watching was Robin Williams' depth of emotion and how he manages to.
Well, yeah, that's clearly why they hired him, right? You know, this is a very good role for him because it does mean you have to have a lot of extreme emotions like laughter, happiness, and determination, anger, love. So he's very good at all that. He's very, very good at all that. And I think
potentially the perfect Robin Williams role. I agree. Yeah. Unfortunately, I think that I don't think this film works. And I say that with a heavy heart because I like certain portions of it. And I understand your enthusiasm for it as well, Rabbi. I don't think it works for the simple reason that for it to work, for it to be as compelling as they seem to want it to be. And that's what all that slow-mo is about, by the way. That's them making up for the fact that they've realised that the film, as it's coming in, they look at the rushes or whatever, it's not as compelling as they thought it would be somehow. And the real reason, I think it's the relationship, it's the central relationship. They're not like any couple that I've ever known. It's ridiculously fantasized. They're impossible.
It's like a gay couple, right? Pretending to be married.
They're next to impossible to relate to, and that makes them, and all that, and that somehow makes them.
That's the central thing of the movie. I can't argue that. That's a big it's a big problem.
And it even strays into the territory where they become unlikable as well, and not for the reasons that they would wish to.
Yeah.
Robin Williams' character that he's given in this, we're told that they've had rows and stuff, but we never see any of that. We're just told, we row now and again. It's inconsequential.
It was written by somebody who's never been married.
I'd say
don't get me wrong. I've been happily married for how old years? 20 96. So
6 years.
I was going to feel like it was 20, so 24 years, right? I'm very, very happily married. I'm very happy to be married, and I think I have a pretty good marriage. Thank God, I really do. But this thing bears no relation to a genuine couple whatsoever.
It's so romanticized.
The closest that I can liken it to, guys, is the Time Traveler's Wife, which is that's a funny film in itself. But that probably at its heart is probably no better or no worse than this. But because they pick the right people in the right roles and they get you to sort of invest in them, you're there along for the ride really before you realise how preposterous it is and how. Because they're not particular, so it's unlike anything I've ever really seen. It's like this looks like this particular still looks like a picture postcard, and I think the entire film is effectively a picture postcard.
And again, I'm visually stunning, and again, for me, because I'm a religious guy, I'm finding this very compelling because I think this is a not too far off from what really
I think the marriage is the worst mismatch since the Clintons.
Yeah, they're perfect. What are you talking about? They are the perfect. Listen, you want?
On paper, but on screen, no.
No. I get. But I find the conception of the afterlife very, very compelling. Because I think that's a real visualization of what I think it could be, not a million miles away from. So with that segue, Father Miller, what do you think?
As a movie itself, I thought it was good, but theologically, I do have problems with it. Obviously,
obviously, it's not. Listen, this is neither of our conception of the afterlife, right? It's got like some core ideas that I really fundamentally believe in, like how we're connected. Yeah.
Have you ever seen The 5 People You Meet in Heaven? Or are you familiar with that book?
No, don't know it.
Okay, I'll have to send a trailer to you. It's with John Voight, and it just talks about a guy that the 5 people that were a big influence on his life he meets in heaven, and each one shows why he was in his life. That's the thought that just kept coming to mind. It's a little bit harder if you haven't seen it to describe it, but the colors are beautiful. I love the art. Like I said, I split it between the movie itself and the theology behind it.
Right. Again, you see, it's not. You see, for me, I'm like thinking, what if every religion got it a bit wrong, and this is kind of like the common denominator. I'm like, even though that's not what I really believe,
right?
I still like I can go along with that,
Right.
I can go along with that, and I just find I hear the problems that everybody's saying 100%. I hear. I just find, and again, there's a couple of concepts I relate. I like how our reality is created by a perception, by a desire, by what we want. I love that idea. Because I think that's essentially what life is. I think it's a really profound, clever idea.
It's made all the more profound in terms of the themes of suicide in this, and the fact that Robin Williams didn't take heed of this vision.
Oh yeah, I tell you, no, I didn't think about that.
Wow,
did not think about that at all. That's right.
Yeah, but the one thing that we understand in the church, we have a better understanding of suicide and mental illness, how it affects one's free will. So I'm having to trust in the mercy of God for Williams because, again, you don't know what was going through his mind.
Listen, I think most people think they don't have any other real option. That would make sense to me. Either that or they really want one attention. But I think it's mainly people just don't think they have any other option.
Right.
So I think that's certainly what happens in this movie. Okay, so anyway, we're getting up to this other bit which I really, really, really liked, where Cuba Gooding Jr. has finally got some clothes on. Good lad, and he's walking and he's exploring the afterlife a bit with Robin Williams, and he notices there's a connection with his wife who's still alive, which doesn't make sense. Okay, fine. But then the Cuba Gooding Jr. is not there one day, and he's met by Keiko O'Brien. Which is, if you ever seen Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Chief O'Brien's wife. That's who this is, right? And so they go out and they see a bit more of the afterlife. They see how people interact with each other. They go on a little boat ride. Here was it. Do I have the boat? No, I don't have the boat here. And she's wearing, I'd say this thing I really thought was beautiful. I really, really love this. She's wearing a name tag of a stewardess.
Leona, yeah.
Yeah, and she says, you know, I chose this film because when I was a little girl, I went on a trip to Singapore with my father. And my father smiled at the stewardess, and he said how beautiful and graceful that Chinese women or whatever, Singapore Oriental women were, right? And
problematic.
Whatever. I didn't say nice things. Anyway, so he and that became this little girl's vision of perfect beauty, and I can really see how that, because like I got daughters, and I can see that how that shit happens, right? I really can see and he realizes the Keiko O'Brien is really his daughter who got killed, early in the movie, and I just found that absolutely beautiful. I really love that. Does anybody else have any thoughts on this?
That was one of the most surprising aspects of the film that I didn't see coming. I think most of the other things I did sort of anticipate, and that's not a flex in any way. I thought it was a nice moment. A lot of the ideas in this I find very difficult to. It's kind of like you were saying, Father Christopher. You know, there's the film itself, and when you start sort of when you bring up the carpet and look at the underlay, then I start to have more and more problems with it because I've seen some of the things this talks about from a completely different angle, and
I was just going to say, I'm not going to get into it yet, but I really hate the ending.
Let me think. Yeah,
I won't get into it yet.
We probably hate it for different reasons, but it's a bit. For me, that's like very cringy.
Well, it just the problem with the ending is the problem with the shape of the entire film, and the problems. The ending having those problems is inevitable because of the way that the film starts out and the foundations that it's built on. It doesn't ever push itself as far as I think it wants to really sell what it's trying to say and to be bold in the visuals are bold, yeah, but to really sell this story and to deliver some sort of powerful message and potentially to be a life-changing film for those who may have seen it. I mean, it does sound like it's affected you to some degree, Rabbi. And
I do. I mean, listen, bits of it I like. That's totally true.
And I think there's enough anecdotal evidence of people experiencing near-death experiences, and having gone through one myself, the idea that someone will come to you in the shape or form of somebody else that you don't know doesn't ring true, because what I saw was my great-grandparents immediately stepping out of a light and saying, "Now is not your time, you have much to do." God knows what that was. Well, I think I ended up caring for my grandmother for 10 years, up until she died. So I guess I had to stick around,
Right.
And then,
I mean, listen, look, that was a fiction. That was kind of a pat fiction. Listen, I found it entertaining.
Lying in heaven is acceptable. You can you can be anything you want to be. I find it was
I don't think it's quite that simple. I think it's like you define yourself in this life.
I know that in the later on they explain that they don't want to come with the baggage of the power structure or the relationship structures, so that you interact and you don't have any attachments, so you can sort of ease into your new afterlife.
Eternity, yeah.
Right.
That was an interesting idea.
I love that idea. I believe that wholeheartedly. I mean, listen, I think we're intrinsically, our souls and our bodies are connected, but I do think that our bodies is not who we are. Right. I think this isn't real. what's real is what's inside. And I do believe in that we live multiple lives, right? I totally believe that. And so you change. I guess you change, but you're not the same person, right? But I do think the same souls have the same relationships going through life, right? I think that's just my own, personal outlook on life. But so I do see there's like a souls will connect rather than the physical representation of them, the body that the shell that they're wrapped around. So that's something I really love. That's one of the things I love about this movie.
It's a curious one. This is the quietest we've ever been. I don't dislike this at all. I was frustrated by it because obviously it is very visually beautiful. There's some great people in it. Max von Sydow.
I saw it at the cinema. It was great to look at, but I mean, I was so bored, and I did feel my toes curling up a lot of the time.
It's pedestrian, and none of it quite. It just doesn't gel, and we can talk about it now. And some of the questions and some of the ideas, they could go off in any one of a number of directions. And that does interest me and intrigue me. So why did this film seem to just sort of almost wash over me? That can't have been what they.
I'll tell you why. I think that the central relationship is so important to this movie. It's the whole raison d'etre of the entire movie. It runs through everything, right? And if with it broken as it is, it's artificial. Everything, that's the glue holding things together.
It's too Hollywood.
If that relationship was a real one, okay, I think this would have benefited, which I'm thinking a lot about a lot of movies now, because I'm like really excited for Justice League. It's going to be a mini-series. They're making it into a 4-hour mini-series, which I'm really up for. This movie would have benefited from being a 4 to 6 hour mini-series. I mean, I'm much better.
It could come back as a mini-series. I mean, if they would. I mean, we know Hollywood's got a penchant for, reimagining films or something into a TV series. This could work in that respect, but I mean, it would have to have a clear understanding of exactly what it is and what it's trying to convey.
It does come from a book, doesn't it?
Yeah, which I've never read or know anything about. So it isn't. It might be completely different. I mean, oftentimes they are completely different, right?
Well, I can see that they were drawing visually on sort of like Escher and Hieronymus Bosch paintings.
Right. Fine. Let's get into that bit. So essentially what happens is his wife is so depressed having her children die, then her husband die in car crashes. She kills herself, right? She's always been a bit on the suicidal side. So she kills herself. And this is bad news. Bad news for Cuba Gooding Jr. tells Robin Williams, you can never see her again because you get sucked into her reality or something like that. She's in hell. She suicides to hell. But their love is so great. They're such an incredible soulmate. And I have to tell you, I believe me and my wife are soulmates, but I think most couples end up being soulmates. You just grow together. Anyway, he is going to go into hell to see if he can rescue her, right? Pull her out. And to do that, they enlist the help of Max von Sydow. I think one of his better performances, actually. He was pretty darn good in this movie. I think he's better in this movie than I can think. He's better in this than he was in Flash Gordon, better than this than he was in... I think he's good in this.
Judgment at Nuremberg?
Sorry?
Wasn't he in Judgment at Nuremberg?
I don't know.
Yes, I think he was, yeah.
Let me look that up.
Has
anybody seen that one?
No, I haven't.
Years and years ago when I was a kid.
I think
1961.
So he probably aged a bit since then.
No, it was Maximilian Schell that was in Judgment. I get him mixed up with Maximilian.
I hate it when that happens. I always do that with certain actors.
Yeah, listen, all the white dudes look the same. What can you do? So anyway, again, I just find this kind of a fascinating bit. They go on this journey into hell, and again, in my head, I just imagine this relationship working. If you do that, everything falls together. right? You just got to change it a bit in your head, and everything falls together, right?
Robin Williams never stops working to sell us this thing. He really does
yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I don't really think
he's the only sort of draw in this film that pulls you through
It's all hinges on him. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, his performance is fantastic, especially at this part when he's got to go on this mission to hell, right? Because he's got all that like determination, going on.
I love the line. I've seen this movie, but I guess I must have forgot it. Elevator to hell going up. That's what Max said. I love the way he just said that.
Yeah, but again, I think it's a really great performance he gives. Yeah, and also when they find him, he's like floating in this like massive library. I love all that. I thought it was freaking awesome. Yeah. And so they go on this journey to hell, and the depiction of hell I think is fantastic. I read it.
Oh, I disagree. I think it's a badly executed attempt at doing a Hieronymus Bosch. And when you see like the really bad makeup jobs of the extras behind in the scenes, and it's just like, and they're really going for it, bless them. But it's so distracting. I find it really.
I didn't even notice that at all. And I watched
I didn't either.
Yeah, I didn't know that at all.
Well, I was an extra, so I noticed.
I loved it for exactly those reasons, because it was a to me it was a modern interpretation, an authentic modern interpretation of Bosch. I loved it.
I like the sort of machine on fire
and like the ship, and it just looked fantastic.
I think it could have been done better. I think if they're going to go all out, they should have gone all out, but I don't think they did. I think maybe the budget was spent at that point. I don't know.
To me, it absolutely satisfied. Yeah, because so then I think around this point he works out that Cuba Gooding Jr. is really his son, which again I just love that. I love that that genuine bond between those two people.
And that bad slow-mo CGI.
But I think the emotion of that was very real. I relate to my kids, right? And it's like I do think that my relationship with them would go beyond their physicality, right? I really related. I thought it was very genuine, right? But really authentic, and I loved it. I really, really liked that a lot. So look, I'm a softy emotional guy. What can I tell? Does anybody else have any thoughts?
Well, I gotta say that every time I've seen this movie, him walking over the faces just still gives me the creeps.
Yeah, that's
the thing I always wondered. The question that came to mind is he comes across his dad, and it's like, what did his dad do that bring him to hell?
No, it wasn't his dad. It just looked like. Didn't he say it's not your dad?
Yeah, it's not. You're not my dad. Yeah, he said that. It's not him.
Right.
So, but that scene, I didn't even notice that the makeup was bad.
Anybody seen it? Let me just describe it. They get off this giant industrial elevator into hell, I guess, with like thousands of people, the condemned or the damned there. They get off at the level of suicide, which is all these people buried up to their faces. And they're all alive. These aren't models. These are all like real people. It's really freaky. Yeah. And they're all talking. And
not the bit when he's running on them. I think there's a few rubber faces.
I'm sure. but I'm saying for the character, he's like trying to walk in between them, and it's like he doesn't want to step on his face, and people are talking to him. He thinks he meets his father, but it's not his father. We think. I don't know. And then I think in a particularly good scene, he sees his wife and he runs over to her, right? And he dives to her, and you see Maxwell Snowden saying, "Don't tell him not to," because then as he gets there, the ground caves in and he falls down to the 9th level of hell. That is what it looks like to me. Again, I find this like very, very compelling and visually stunning. Anybody else, or is it just me? It's just me.
I'm not excited by it somehow. I just find it also disconnecting. And
wow. Okay. I don't think we're doing as bad as we did with High Rise, which was visceral hatred.
I'm still trying to work out why I didn't feel this film, why I didn't latch on to even just the fantasy element of it, because I've got no real issue with the whole sort of theory behind it. I'm not a man of faith myself, but I can be pretty much sold on any fantasy you can care to throw at me. But I mean, the way that the ground breaks,
it looks like set piece to set piece. Really,
that's it. Yeah, and as like I said, although Robin Williams is sort of motoring through this, powering through this, and everybody else in it is okay. I mean, Cuba Gooding Jr. sort of smiles a lot. And Max von Sydow does Max von Sydow. Nobody really steps out of their comfort zone or says really a great deal of any real consequence. It's all sort of left in the air, really.
I think the strongest sub character is his daughter.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Kate O'Brien doing a fine job,
and she's gone in 3 minutes.
Yeah,
so,
I know that was very good. I think, probably.
I was shocked when they announced that his wife had taken her own life, and that's where things obviously take this turn, and how he ends up here, and that did sort of jolt me back into the film a little, but after that we sort of got more of the same. I wouldn't describe it as pedestrian at all, and I'm sure that there's some great. I mean, I don't know about the book. There must be some really sort of strong ideas in it for somebody to be this compelled to spend this amount of money in 1996, 97, whenever it was filmed, to bring it to the screen. I just don't.
Well, it might sound strange to say this, but I think it might be a movie out of its time, kind of. I think you would get away with a movie like that today. I think back then they probably were ahead of their time. But even looking at it, because it has 1990s effects, it hasn't kind of, it hasn't aged well either. Like visually, it's great in some parts. I do agree with Lee, though. In some other parts, it does look a bit all over the top.
I still like it as much as when I first saw it, which is fine. And I'm watching like the dodgy CGI as well, and I'm still like connecting. Like, I like this.
Williams is the main draw in this movie. If he wasn't in this movie and it was under you wouldn't watch this movie. To be quite honest with you, actually, you only watch it because of his performance, and his performance is actually very good in this. And it's kind of dealing with suicide and death, and then we see what happened later on in his life. It's kind of a bit,
It's a bit of a creepy side. Oh, I like I love this picture.
I probably would have. I mean, I have a macabre sense of humor. So, I mean, I probably would have watched it without Robin.
I think if it was a different actor, like if it was your typical Hollywood heartthrob, I mean, I think the relationship between him and the wife would have been a lot more believable. But then again, it's
what do you mean unbelievable?
Robin Williams' humor is so endearing. That's kind of what manages to make it better. In terms of believability.
Off the panel, which is more horrific, this or this?
The wig.
Definitely the wig and the
I mean, it's so stylized and idealized and ridiculous.
Well, the one thing that I was wondering is I kept getting pains during it because it's sad to remember that Robin's gone. I mean, that he's been gone, 6 years now?
That's to worry about that. I was like,
it hurts. I mean, it was like a punch to the gut when he died.
Yeah, the world he's dead, to be honest. Celebrities die all the time, and we kind of, some of our favorite celebrities die, we do kind of like, do feel a bit sad. But I remember
maybe not the right ones.
It did. It felt like the world was a harsher place the next day. I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he gave so much. I mean, he did. Everything he touched, he gave 110% every single time. And
look at Mrs. Doubtfire personality. Any other actor except him. Now they're trying to remake that movie, right? It's not going to work, and the reason why it's not going to work is because you don't have the most important element. It's Robin Williams. That's what made it work. Was because of him, because he is so endearing, because he pulled you in.
What if
it's in the movie that I watched? Because I have to be honest, I have to skip a lot of this movie because I got it mixed up. I thought Rabbi sent it to me on Bleeding Messenger. It turned out he sent it to me on Twitter, so I came into it a bit late. But what the scenes that I watched with Robin, he drew me in. He drew me in, and that's why I think he was cast for this movie as well, because he has a way of drawing his audience in. It doesn't matter what film he's in, right? Whether it's comedy or a serious role, he will pull you in. Look at 1 Hour Photo, for example. Look how he's draw his audience in. Like, that was probably one of the most serious roles he ever done, and he was superb in that. So I mean, the caliber. He's a sad miss, but this movie I think was ahead of its time. I think if you were to make it now with him, with the
I would have had Terry Gilliam do it. Yeah, I think that would have worked even better.
So I just wanted to. I just had a quick thought. Sorry.
Okay.
No.
So Noel, what if they remade Mrs. Doubtfire with Ryan Reynolds?
No.
Ooh, no.
No. It's Robin Williams. Robin Williams is Mrs. Doubtfire. It's not. I'm sorry. Like,
I'm not going to see it.
Ryan Reynolds. I think he's funny. I think if they did it properly, he probably would pull it up. But it's Robin Williams. Why sully something that's already good? You don't need to remake a great movie. You remake. You know what you do? Remake movies. No movies that everybody thought was going to be a hit, but it didn't have the budget or the director went crazy. That's what they should do. They should remake movies that they felt were going to be a hit and didn't make it, and they should remake them and try make them a hit. That's what they should be doing. They shouldn't be remaking hits, right? They shouldn't be remaking Mrs. Doubtfire.
No, you're about to be snapped up by Hollywood. They never heard an idea like that. They go, wait a minute, we're going to remake flops. It's crazy, but it might work. They will go for it.
You could, though. You could. The some of the flop, like Cutthroat Island, for example, that was a big budget. It had Gina Davis in it, but it didn't do well in the box office, right? They're talking about Pirates of the Caribbean, a female version. Why didn't they just cast Karen Gillan in a Cutthroat Island and remake that movie instead of doing a Pirates of the Caribbean and give Johnny Depp back his role, the role that he was born to play, because he is Captain Jack Sparrow now.
Unfortunately, before we get too off, let's wrap up this movie. So he's in hell. He falls to hell. They're in like the ceiling, which is on the floor for some reason.
Yeah.
It's all grotty. He goes into his house, which is like a dark version of it with from his one in heaven, and he meets his wife there, who's a bit bonkers, doesn't know what's going on, and he talks for a bit, and then he says, you're never going to be able to get her back. He says, yeah, I know, but I'm staying here anyway. Decides to stay there, and because she doesn't want him to succumb to hell, she saves him and drags him to heaven, and then it gets a bit cringy again. They live in heaven for a little bit before they're reborn as a boy and girl, and they meet each other while playing with toy boats. Which again, starts with cringe.
Very on the nose at that point.
Pretty good stuff in the middle, according to me. Not most.
I think this was the best part.
I'll say go with me over them. That's all I'm saying.
I think this is the best part of the film. It's the most sort of emotional. But again, I feel most of the time that I'm being triggered into feeling something emotional, I become very aware of why, and that's why I feel manipulated by it. I feel like it's and it took me out of it. So I started feeling something, and then I was realizing what was happening. You know, the aligning of the stars, kind of in a very sort of contrived way to make me think and feel in a specific kind of way, and it really knocked me because I wanted to allow it to dictate the terms to me.
Do you think, problem being that, you know, the stuff with his wife when he finds her in the house, that whole sort of 10-15 minutes, that's the only time really in the film where there's any real stakes,
depth? Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Yeah, because everything else has been sort of leading up to this moment, really, I think. And it took a while to get there.
They do say over and over again, there's no, the more you go into hell, there's real stakes. And again, I think you're right, but they were very notably to say there is.
But is this the 9th level of hell? Because I mean, if suicide's the worst thing you can do,
who knows?
But I mean, I think this scene was the most sort of touching, and as Dan rightly says, the highest of the stakes, and it really, it's the setting is there, and at that moment when he tells his son, who's in the form of Cuban Jr., that he's going to stay. No, it wasn't Cuban Jr.
He tells Matt from Snyder.
It's not, yeah. So he's kind of shocked, but he kind of is amazed. And we're kind of
he has a really good performance. I love that character in this. I would like to see him more. You know what? I wouldn't mind seeing this setting with other stories. I like this world. Okay, I'm intrigued with this world. I would like to see more movies in this world. But carry on.
Yeah, I think the whole church upside down is kind of representing the level of death that's happened in the family. You know, the funerals and all the things that she's always stuck at the funerals. You know, in a church. So I think that's
the view she has when she looks up.
And it's filled with water, which could represent the tears, you know, of
I guess so.
Of all the suffering and death and the tears of mourning.
I didn't think it's grotty. Yeah, they want to show like.
So I think the crumbling house represents her crumbling belief in everything that she had and all the things that she's lost.
Persona,
yeah,
right?
So I think that was nicely done. I think that visually that was very beautiful, and I think that emotionally was actually where it should have been, and I would like to have seen more of that throughout the film. But again, I guess that's a sort of payoff you sort of build to that moment, and it's very heartfelt. It was kind of spoilt really when he just all of a sudden succumbed, you know, like after he decides to go back in and stay with her, and then she's like coming around, and then all of a sudden his light seems to go out of his eyes,
right?
And it's really sudden. Rather, I would like to have seen that.
Yeah, but like, come on, what else are you going to do? Any longer, they're just schlepping it out at that point.
Yeah, no, but it you know, they could have sacrificed something else earlier on in the film to make this more impactful. I think because it was over very quickly, and all of a sudden, in the blink of an eye, they're in heaven, and it's just like it didn't feel earned. It didn't feel like that struggle had gone on long enough.
Yeah. I get because you know why? Because it was all about the titanic love of this couple, who I just didn't buy that at all.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah,
yeah, like if I believe this couple loved each other.
I mean, you got to bear in mind the things we've missed here is the film's interspersed with flashbacks to happier times, of the times when she was in a mental hospital and he was visiting her and he was going to offer her a way out, that he was causing her too much pain by reminding her that he wasn't in the depth that she was, and that it kind of reminded her of her children and all of it. So he offered her a divorce, but then he said it's a one-way ticket, you know.
Was it was it like, this is just what I got to do at this point?
Yeah, but she grabbed his hand, and then she was going to try at that point. So that was kind of nice, but
they could have echoed that. Yeah, again, yeah. The failing of this movie is their lack of connection. It just was.
Yeah, it did feel. That's why I feel that it was quite kind of disjointed, like they were leading two separate lives rather than as a couple.
Right, and the whole point of this movie, they were one existence, they were one soul, which they clearly weren't. However,
she is good. Annabelle Sciorra, that's her name?
Sopranos.
Oh, so I don't think I've seen her in much, but I probably have. She was probably just as good as Robin Williams was. I just think it's probably all down to this. It's probably all down to the script.
Yeah, and the relationship between the children was a strange one as well. You know, when the little girl was like a budding lesbian, and the chubby kid, the older son, kind of looks like looks like he's a bit out of place, and a bit of a shoe-in, really. And there's this kind of contrivance of his father's trying to drive him, and he's failing at school, and you know, and yeah, I mean, it's that kind of disjointedness between the family. I don't think, because I had enough time to really explore their relationships at the start of the film, only sort of later on interspersed throughout it.
The reveal that Cuba Gooding Jr. was his son, and the authenticity of their relationship between them.
Yeah,
that explained it much more than the flashback to me. Quite frankly.
That's true.
It was just great acting. That's really what it is. Okay, so I think this week we're all gonna listen. I'm gonna say an imperfect thing that's worth looking at. I think others would disagree.
Yeah.
I don't know. Listen, for me, the hits of it made it worthwhile watching. While I don't disagree at all, with the central criticisms, I think that's a fair.
Well, I saw this at the cinema, and last week, at the end of the last video of what we did here, and I was like, oh God, no, not this, because I'd seen it at the cinema and I was like half asleep. It was better than I remembered it.
For next week, though, does anybody have anything to add for this?
No. I didn't. I would recommend people see this. I wouldn't. If somebody asked me, should I see this movie, I would say yes.
I think it's good for someone who's grieving, maybe.
But pick your evening. Just make sure if you've got a pile of stuff that you've been meaning to get round to for a while, maybe take something off that list. But if you're not really sure what to watch, then pick this, and it might do something for you.
Drop a Prozac.
Or read the book. Read the book. And then watch the movie. Maybe there might be a little bit more context if you read the book, watch the movie.
Read the book, get in contact with us.
Might make a bit more sense.
So anyway, next week I like the format of giving you guys a choice, right? I do like that format. I have a bit of a bizarre choice, so very different.
That's not like you.
So this is.
Let me guess. It's going to be some
question though.
It's going to be something dreamy.
Is this movie to? Oh, jeez.
Oh God.
Okay, I haven't actually seen this.
Right.
Okay. Now
I like
two.
Oh, there's two choices.
Yeah, this is a little bit different.
Okay.
Oh,
jeez.
I've not seen that.
Oh.
Okay, so let me give you a preface about Cloud Atlas. It's very long. It's very long. I will break it. I intended to break it into 2 nights, but I was so sucked away by it, I ended up watching the whole thing. It's 3 hours, but it's much better. I will break it into two viewings. Again, it's an imperfect in places, but I think it's got some really, really, really good ideas and fantastic visuals, which basically is what I'm after, and fantastic performances, which for me, I think is like just chalks it up for me. So that's Cloud Atlas, but it does take an investment.
Right.
So no, why didn't you go first? What would you choose?
No, I'm not going to influence the panel. So what I'll say is the whole point of this video vault is to kind of do movies that are not going to mainstream. Superbad is. So even though this movie is 3 hours, and I remember when I watched it once, I've only watched it once, it bored the shit out of me, but I'm willing to give it but I'm willing to give it another go. So my choice.
There you go. You're a brave man there.
So that's my choice is the Tom Hanks movie.
Kind of critique here on.
Well, it's no turn to.
You're asking me to choose between that and Superbad, and I hate Superbad, so I'm going with that. Yeah, I hate Superbad. So I think Superbad.
Well, this week I had to suffer, so it's Noel's turn to suffer next week.
Damn, so you're choosing Superbad?
No, well, I haven't seen either. Actually, I've heard of Cloud Atlas. I haven't heard of Superbad, but I kind of more in the mood to watch something a bit more in depth than what looks like a cheap Hollywood comedy type thing. So I'm going to go with Cloud Atlas.
Okay,
that intrigues me.
So it's up to Father, Rabbi, and Dan. One of you is going to get to decide and vote. So
I'm actually
let me tell you.
I'm actually interested in this one.
Oh,
you're going to love this. This is perfect for you. If you've never seen this, you're going to freaking love it.
No, I've never seen it.
You're going to love it. It's right up your street.
Well, like I said, I'm just reading the cast: Tom Hanks, Halle Berry, Hugo Weaving.
Yeah, it's like, okay. Awesome,
Hugh Grant?
Freaking awesome visuals. A really interesting story, which is something that I've never seen in any movie. There's one bit that's a little bit crap. There's one thing in it where they do like highlight a lot, which is a bit crap. But other than that,
yeah, I'd be up for this.
We'll be interested to spot which one that is when we do.
You're going to spot it. I will tell you, it's nowhere near as egregious as the Robin Williams, whatever name.
No, don't tell us. Let us find out.
But you got to imagine it. Say this is X, and then it's not X. You just got to imagine it is X, and then it all fits into place. Okay.
I actually really like Superbad, but as much as I liked it, I would, problem being your classification of it is absolutely right, and I agree with Noel. I'm here to sort of be stimulated in this way. I would have gone for Cloud Atlas too, simply for the fact that it's got Halle Berry in a fourth Doctor scarf. That's two of my favourite things.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, who has seen it? It's only Noel. It's only you.
So we've decided.
Well, who
I'll get a vote now because we've all said Cloud Atlas. So so you don't get a vote this week.
No, other than you, has anybody seen this before?
No.
Okay. Great.
I'll tell you, I have to be honest now. I seen it on a dodgy DVD.
Oh no! Listen, the visuals on this stuff. It's something like.
Here, my man dad got it in Greece. They got it in Greece when they went away on holidays. They got it off one of those stalls. It might have been a dodgy DVD, but it was a fucking great copy. Sound and everything was great. It was actually not bad. They brought home around 20 DVDs of all these big movies that were only released at the time, and that was one of them. So the big movies that were out around the time that this one was out, my mum and dad probably had them all on dodgy DVDs.
I'm trying to decide whether it's worth recommending you watch the trailer or not. The trailer's very good, actually. It's a very good trailer. But part of the fun of this movie is working out what the hell it is.
Yeah, I never watched trailers too.
Relatively quickly, but it's really interesting. But if you watch the trailer, it tells you what.
No, don't watch the trailer.
I'll go in completely cold. I'm going in cold.
Yeah.
So
going
again,
dry.
Listen, just give yourself 2 nights. Although I have to tell you, there's a scene in the middle which is a good cliffhanger, which is where I was going to get off, but I was so invested at that point. I stayed.
So have we to watch the whole movie, or have we to watch half of the movie?
No. Watch the whole thing.
Where do you want us to? Where's the stopping point? Where do you want us to stop?
No. Watch the whole thing. Watch the whole thing.
All right.
It's a recommendation.
Okay.
There's
to
a
do it in 2 sittings.
With some kind of car incident. I'm not going to spoil it for you. It's a very cool incident. That's a good place to take a break, but it's a cliffhanger. But it's a good cliffhanger.
I'll just watch the whole lot. You're right, because this is what happens, right? You always watch a movie like that, right? And you say you're not gonna, because you get halfway through and you're like, I can't do the rest of this, but you end up watching the rest of it. So yeah, I did that with Lord of the Rings when I wasn't a fan. I didn't like those movies originally. It was only when I got older I became a fan of those movies. But I even sat through those 4.5 hour versions. Like, I still have them to this day.
I like the extended versions.
Yeah, the extended versions are much better. Like, there's a whole in one of them. I think it's the second one, or is it the first one? There's a whole hour of the trees walking through the forest with the hobbits. Like, it's fucking brilliant.
Right. So again, this is as visually stunning as something like Speed Racer. If you ever seen that,
love Speed Racer.
Right,
I look forward to this
one, by the same team.
Love it.
This certainly, imagine Speed Racer, much more adult. That's what it's like. Speed Racer is a great movie. I got to have a watch of that.
Yeah, I watched it with my kids when they were younger. Yeah.
Yeah, I did, but I liked it more than they did.
I think I probably did as well, because I don't think they've mentioned it since.
Yeah, like, you're a weirdo. Yeah, you get used to kids. Anyway, fine. I think we have something to look forward to next week. Fine. I think we'll wrap up. Nobody has any closing thoughts.
Go and watch the film for yourselves. I'm not saying don't watch the movie. It's just, there are some movies that that become a slog, and this one can be. Now I'm gonna watch it again because obviously I had to flick through huge chunks of it. But I'm going to sit down and watch it again. But as I said, Robin Williams does draw you in. But I would not dismiss. I wouldn't say do not watch this movie like I did with.
I'd rather watch Oh God, You Devil.
But this one, I'd give it a watch because there might be someone out there that this movie might be a very personal movie. You might resonate with you. It just didn't resonate with me. What I watched of it, and that's where I stand. So, but I wouldn't dismiss it. Go and watch it. That's my recommendation.
Yeah, someone who's gone through sort of, quite a big bereavement thing in my life. I didn't resonate with it as much as I had hoped I would, given the fact that I saw it many years ago when it came out in the cinema, to how I am now. But it was definitely better experience to watch it, but it didn't connect or gel with me in the way that I'd hoped it would. And I did feel it to kind of manipulate you emotionally to want to believe in everything that's going on and the relationships and everything. And it was too much Hollywood cringe in there it was very distracting, actually. And the end was just like, oh god, too Hollywood.
I think Cuba Gooding Jr. and Maximus Snyder, both those ones work. The wife, it's such a central thing to the movie. It's like it affects every part of it. It does.
I mean, just watching Robin Williams in pretty much anything really is always a joy. And he has so much pathos behind those eyes, and you can feel him. And that's something that, given the tragic events of his passing, you can really see where he's coming from in everything that he does. The level of depth of personality, a force of nature, is so present in everything he does, and that is bewitching. I mean, his eyes draw you in.
It's very strange because he's got an everyman quality about him, and yet he's like no other actor you've ever seen. He's the closest I think American sort of mainstream has ever had to a Tom Baker kind of figure, where he's sort of there's nobody like him, and there's nobody enters a room like Robin Williams does. And yet he can still relate to him. He's still able to disappear inside a character. It's really unique, and I've never really. His performances, seeing Robin Williams in a film for me is by no means that sort of clincher. Yes, this is going to work, because he did spread it. I would say made some bad choices.
And he did Toys. That was pretty bad. Let's be honest.
There was numerous films like that, and sometimes he was variable in decent movies. He just, it's always right on the cusp with Robin Williams, and I think he really delivered in this one in particular. So a great choice, I think, Rabbi.
I think as well, he did a whole slew of sort of very serious type movies, but they were all big Hollywood budget movies, and he kind of suffers because of that. Because I want to see him something more honest, rather than something.
My two favorite movies of his are Awakenings. Is it the one with Robert De Niro and Patch Adams?
I've seen that. I've seen Patch Adams either.
That's actually Good Will Hunting.
Patch Adams is he plays a doctor in both movies. So in the Robert De Niro one, he's basically looking after patients that have been basically it's kind of like a coma, but they don't know, and they suddenly, because he tries a new medicine or something, and they all start waking up. There's a series of patients that start waking up.
It's a true story, wasn't it? That I could recommend a Robin Williams film, a smaller one that you may not have seen, called The World's Greatest Dad. That's
nice. I like that movie.
It's another black comedy. It's not as mawkish as the title may lead you to believe. But thank you. Another.
Okay, so we've developed the worst movie show of all time, where movies that we can guarantee you won't like them, but you can't miss them.
That's the point of the video, Vault. We're going to find little gems in there. We already have like.
Well, Pan's Labyrinth was universal.
So movie that is absolutely craptastic. Has anybody ever seen The Room?
Yes, cool. I love the
craptastic.
For all the wrong reasons.
The Room. What's the movie they made about it? The Seth Rogen one.
Disaster Artist.
And the Disaster Artist. That's brilliant. Oh my god.
That was. I did not get her.
I'll watch the room first. Actually, we should do the room sometime. I can't think I can do.
I'd like to watch the room at some point. I've never seen it. Or the other one.
And Plan 9 from Outer Space.
I'll watch pretty much anything. As I think I've probably.
Oh no, we will do anything. We'll do Ed Wood when they recreate
Ed Wood. Yeah, that's brilliant.
Bill Murray's in it.
Fantastic.
But actually, we should do a Bill Murray movie at one point.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, but I would take you to a weird one. I'll go like
Not the Life Aquatic.
I reckon we can get a movie with Bill Murray, but a modern. I reckon we should go with Ghostbusters 2016.
I'm not watching that ever again.
No,
I just remember the great Robin Williams clip. Has anybody ever seen Shakes the Clown with Bobcat Goldthwait?
No.
Robin Williams is in it, and he plays a mime teaching how to mime. I will send you the clip via Twitter.
All right, listen, I'm going to wrap up. It is Friday night. Yep. Friday night is the world is your oyster here on YouTube. Please go and check out and subscribe to all the channels, apart from Problem Being, who doesn't have a channel. But you can go and check out.
Doesn't even have a Twitter.
Problem Being does have a channel. He just doesn't want anybody to subscribe to his channel.
He doesn't want to associate with anyone. We have, please go and subscribe to the channel. I'm sure there is fantabulous and fantastic things that you're going to enjoy here on Friday night, here on Twitter, or not Twitter, on YouTube, whatever social media we're on. I myself I'm taking a sabbatical break. I will be back 24 hours from now. I will be on the Tardis zone with Noel, watching the Ark. Yeah, we're watching the Ark. So, and then don't forget this week's competitions. I'm going to hit the off button. Oh no, I don't hit the off button on this one. We just say goodbye, everybody. Say goodbye, everybody. Have a good evening.
Bye.
Goodbye.